Commissioner Sparks,
Present.
Commissioner Berman,
Here.
Commissioner Gilardi,
Here.
Vice Chair Long,
Here.
Chair Moffitt.
Here. Looks like we're all accounted for. We'll just move down into our land acknowledgement.
Madam Chair, may I? Thank you. For the benefit of the commission and our folks here and at home tonight, my name is George Barrich. I'm a former city councilman here in Cotati. And Chairwoman Moffitt, you are a crack up. You are a lot of fun, I want to say. You bring a good attitude to the commission. I appreciate it very much. On land acknowledgement, I want to say that I want to thank you for knowing how to read the law and obey the law when it comes to agenda items such as this. And that's more than I can say for our city council members, so I applaud you. You may have a nice future career on the planning, on the city council with your attitude and your attention to the law. Regarding the land acknowledgement itself, I'll try not to reiterate, but I've spoken with some people about this matter, how silly and ridiculous that this is, and it's kind of dawned on some people that what really this is has manifested itself into is a religious activity. When you talk about paying respect to the land and so forth, this gets into the area of religious aspects of Gaian, earth god, something about this type of thing where land itself is an inanimate object. It has no feelings. It has no principles. It has no conscience. But somewhere along the way, someone's put together this land acknowledgement as a way to pay homage to something that does not deserve any type of respect. Land is land. It is material. And one culture will exploit it better than another culture. And because the land was not necessarily utilized and exploited to the extent it is today, back when the Miwoks were here, or the Pomos, or the Neanderthals, or whatever cultures were before that, because the native indigenous people here that we know of were not the first inhabitants of this land. So this whole thing is just silly, and it just reeks of religion. I would like to see the commission go back to a time when we did a moment of silence. If you wanted to pay homage to the land, another god, you could in your own way. This is just silly. And it influences people. It's just massaging people to not think about what's happening here. But it is an affront. I'd like to see the commission get rid of it altogether because it is embarrassing. You're all much more intelligent than to fall for this lunacy of a land acknowledgement to indigenous people, which we don't even know much of the history at all, who was here. And according to my experts in human anthropology, if the Miwoks and the Pomos could exploit the land to the extent that we do,
30 seconds.
They would. Thank you, madam. They would. So who are we actually paying respect to? Because they didn't do it as good as us? It's really silly. If you use your critical thinking skills, you go down this line, it just makes you guys look foolish, and I think you're better than that. I'd like you to consider getting rid of this once and for all. Thank you.
Carla, in the interest of fairness, is there anyone on Zoom?
Thank you, Chair Moffitt. Speaking to our Zoom attendees, if you would like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand icon, or if you're dialing in, dial *9. Chair Moffitt, that will end public comment.
Thank you, Carla. Please rise for the land acknowledgement. The city of Cotati recognizes that we're on the ancestral lands of the coastal Miwok, who are the original caretakers of this area. We respectfully acknowledge the indigenous peoples who have been stewarding and maintaining a relationship on this land as knowledge keepers for millennia. This acknowledgement does not take the place of authentic relationships with indigenous communities, but serves as a gesture of respect to the land we are on. Thank you. And, oh, wait. Stay up.
Allegiance, item number 4.
Yes, Pledge of Allegiance. Go ahead and sit down.
You're so gracious. Thank you so much. I want to speak briefly to this item for your own historical perspective on this, and hopefully this will be the last time I speak to it. When I was on the City Council in 2009, we almost lost the Pledge of Allegiance in these chambers. And that had to do with a couple people on the council. One in particular was a man by the name of Robert Coleman. And Robert Coleman was a devout atheist, and he was also a devout communist. Okay? So what he would do, if you don't remember, if you weren't here back then, what he would do during the Pledge of Allegiance, I sat on where Ed's sitting right here. He would stand up here and he would turn towards the flag and he would not say anything at all out of his disgust for America, his disdain for our nation. And I noticed it. And it wasn't too long before council member Coleman put on the agenda to remove the moment of silence. And we had a little lively debate about it. And it did pass 3-2. He came back another few weeks and wanted to place on the agenda to remove the Pledge of Allegiance. And he gave some cockamamie excuse why he thought that would be good for our town and our nation. I argued with him and debated him a little bit about this, and it was Pat Gilardi and I who, Pat Gilardi, I have to be pretty proud of her. She stood up and says, you know, I'm not ready to do this. This is not right. And she kind of, her logic really carried the day, because she was a Democrat. I didn't carry much weight. And it got voted down 3-2. It didn't carry. I mean, she got a second, but it got voted down. Following up a few years later, Mr. Mark Lamont, another America hater, got elected to the city council, and he sat up here, I think at Ed's seat too, at least 1 or 2 terms, sat in that seat. And what he would do during the Pledge of Allegiance, he would stand up in front of the flag, right in front of it, and block access to everybody else in the room. Now, when I stood up there, when I had that seat, I stepped to the side, which is proper etiquette. And when Patty Minnis was on the city council, she sat there, she stepped to the side. Okay, she never got any acknowledgement or proclamation for her service on the council either. But not Mr. Lamont. Mr. Lamont would stand there, and even despite our objections to try to correct him as to proper etiquette of standing in front of the flag, he refused. Why? Because he hated America. And he wanted to show George Barrich and other people in the room he could do what he damn well wanted to do and get away with it, because he was a party player, he was connected to the cabal, and nobody was going to change it, trying to send his message to the public that he will do what he damn well pleases. So I bring this to you so that you can glean the respect that I have for the Pledge of Allegiance and the flag and where we are today, because we almost lost it. We almost lost it. And I want to thank you for acknowledging the pledge and keeping it a proud item on our agenda. Thank you. Good luck tonight.
Carla, and then
Madam Chair, if I may say something, I just wanted on record that my wife has listened to your statements and she completely disagrees with what your memory of those evenings are. Thank you.
Those meetings have been deleted.
Carla, is there anyone on Zoom who'd like to comment?
Speaking to our Zoom attendees, if you'd like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand icon. Chair Moffett, that will end public comment.
Thank you.
I'd like to say one thing.
Yep.
George, we actually didn't say the Pledge of Allegiance when I started on the commission, but this commission voted to reinstate it, so we have definitely support saying the Pledge of Allegiance here.
Moving down the agenda, we have the approval of the minutes. I trust we've all had a moment to read does anyone have any comments on the minutes?
I move we approve the minutes.
Let's open it up to public comment real quick. Would anyone like to have public comment on the minutes? Carla, would anyone on Zoom like to have public comment on the minutes?
No public comment from Zoom, Chair Moffett.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilardi, as you were saying?
I'm sorry.
I second the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? That's unanimous. All right. Moving on down, are there any changes to the agenda? No? Okay. Now we move into public comment. So this is our public comment section for any items within the Planning Commission's jurisdiction, but not on our agenda. And in the interest of fairness, we're going to start with Zoom this time, and then we will move over to the audience chamber.
Speaking to our Zoom attendees, if you would like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand icon. Chair Moffett, that will end Zoom public comment.
Would anyone in our audience chamber like to make a public comment?
Thank you. I'd like to speak to the comment of Mr. Gilardi here. Regarding his comment's hearsay, number one. Number two, because we have Zoom, Pat Gilardi is welcome to log into these meetings and reflect on her own history, her own memory of 2009 if she ever wants to. But that's how I remember it, and I remember it like the day, like any important day. It was a stunning evening I'll never forget. But Pat Gilardi doesn't really like me. She helped lead the recall against me because I was usually oftentimes the lone vote against the city council of common sense and reason. So I can understand where Mr. Gilardi is coming from. And unfortunately, Mr. Gilardi did not move to the side to allow us all to have a nice view of the flag either, which speaks volumes. Can't believe it. Also, the fact that I want to go back to not understanding why in the last couple months I haven't heard from Michelle Berman on my genuine and polite offer to meet in private regarding the money that she owes me as a convicted money launderer and the money that she's cost me and other people in this town. This is not going to go away, and we do need to meet in private over this and find out how her victims are going to be made whole. Also, I see that Adrienne Lobby's here tonight. Hopefully she'll get up and speak. But Adrienne Lobby, I believe, was just as culpable in that money laundering scheme as Ms. Berman was. But someone had to take the fall. So I kind of get what happens in relationships when, why do we both have to go down when only one of us has to go down? So Michelle took the heat, went up to the FPPC meeting, did not answer any questions for the board of directors up there on what in the hell she was thinking when she went and did this. But more telling was what happened in the weeks afterwards of that conviction. Adrienne came forward here at the podium and publicly stated that she felt so sorry for Linnell Hardy and John Gardino, who had to pay a fine for what they had been engaged in. And she honestly, I felt in her heart, felt really bad that she put Linnell Hardy through that and got thrown under the bus and probably ruined Linnell Hardy's future political career. But I sat out there and you know what? Nobody apologized to me. I'm not a party player on the far left. I'm not a devout communist and socialist, like some people here in the room are. Okay? But that apology is still owed. But it just goes to show you the depth of the hatred and the resentment for people who think differently. And it's a telling testament of the hate in this town and the twisted nature of politics and where some people have taken it. People who I used to break bread with and understood our differences and were able to
30
respect our
seconds.
differences. Thank you, Carla. Oh, 30 more seconds. So anyway, that's the sad part about all this, is that most communities are divided politically in some way. It's how we get along and how we deal with it that says who we are as human beings. But some people just can't do it. Their politics is so raw. They hold it so close to their chest that they can't apologize properly to. Thank you. Thank you for serving.
Any other comments from the audience chamber? No? Okay. Moving on down to matters at hand. Planner Buss, I believe you have a presentation for us.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Chair Moffett and members of the Planning Commission. I'm Autumn Buss, planner with the Community Development Department. This item we have for you tonight is a request to hold a public hearing and to consider making a recommendation to the City Council on an ordinance that would amend the industrial zoning portion of our land use code. Next slide, please. So currently, Cotati has 2 industrial zoning districts. Those are known as the Commercial Industrial Zoning District, CI, and the General Industrial Zoning District, IG. So those are within our zoning code. The general plan has an action item which calls for an adjustment to our zoning districts, and that's the plan that was adopted in 2015. So this has been on the books for a while, and we're finally have got this on our sites. What this action item is to either combine our 2 zoning districts into a single district or to amend those individual districts so that they allow, between the 2, allow the full range of land uses that are contemplated by the general plan for industrial activities in Cotati. So in a way, this is really a housekeeping item. The general plan is the land use, the law of the land and land use for the city, and the zoning code needs to be consistent with the general plan, and currently it is not. Next slide, please. So a little more background about the general plan and its land use designation related to industrial. So we have one land use designation for industrial. It's also rather confusingly called commercial industrial, just like the zoning district. It is the area you see on that map shown in dark gray, and so essentially, it is the land in the city that is north of Hellman Lane. There is a little portion that you see up on the map there, which is dark gray, which is south of Hellman Lane, but that's actually outside of the city boundaries. That's within the unincorporated county, but it's part of our sphere of influence. And so we do have kind of like a pre-zoning or pre-land use designation for those lands that are in our sphere of influence in the event that we someday annex those lands. But what we're talking about here today are the lands that are north of Hellman Lane. That land use allows a number of different uses, industrial parks, research and development, food processing and preparation, manufacturing, laboratories, and then a whole range of commercial uses that would be compatible with industrial types of uses. Next slide, please. So the zoning code implements the land use code designations within the general plan. And so we have 2 zoning districts in the land use code that are meant to implement the general plan. One is the commercial industrial zone, which is it's kind of what you might call light industrial. Okay? So it's a mixture of retail, service, large-scale office, light industry uses, warehousing, and live work. The general industrial zone is kind of heavier uses, so your heavier industrial includes manufacturing, sort of larger scale production, and live work. And next slide, please. So you see, this is our zoning map for the city. Up in the upper northwest corner, you see the industrial areas. The darker gray area is the IG, the general industrial zone. The lighter gray is the CI, the lighter industrial zone. Essentially, you know, the two are bifurcated by the Laguna de Santa Rosa. And as you can see, it's a relatively small portion of, you know, of the city. Next slide, please. So, as I said, the general plan stipulates that there's one of two actions should take place, that either the zones should be combined or they should be amended. Staff is proposing combining the two zones into a single zoning district, which we would call CI, Commercial Industrial. Because if you look at the land use tables in the code currently between the two different zoning districts, all of the different uses that are contemplated by the general plan are included already in those uses. So it would not be helpful to amend the land use tables to add uses or subtract uses to come into compliance with the general plan. All the uses are there. And because each of those zones are relatively small, it makes sense to combine the two into a single zoning district that would reflect the full range of the land uses in both. That would allow us to reduce the overall number of zoning districts in the city, which streamlines implementation of the land use code and also interpretation by members of the public, by the community. Next slide, please. Combining the districts also allows us to provide a certain amount of flexibility within our industrial zones and create more opportunity to accommodate uses that thrive in a semi-industrial or freeway adjacent area, such as we have up there along in the industrial zone. So that might include indoor sports facilities, breweries and wineries, artist studios, and business incubators. Next slide, please. Because the range of land uses within the zoning districts is not proposed to change with the combination into a single district, the implementation will be very much the same as it is today, with just a broader array of land uses available to property owners within the industrial area. We are proposing to adjust the permit requirement for 3 land uses within those districts. One is brew pubs, which are actually not allowed in either of our existing industrial districts currently. So we're proposing to adjust those to a minor use permit in the new single zoning district. And then we're also proposing to adjust breweries and minor vehicle services from a use permit to a minor use permit, which means that, you know, those would actually be an easier use to achieve in the district. The certain land uses do currently require and would still require a use permit to ensure that the impacts to any neighboring businesses or other land uses would be minimized. Those include heavy manufacturing and processing, construction contractors, dry cleaning, and medium-sized recycling facilities. So those would still come to the Planning Commission for approval and placement of conditions of approval. Existing businesses in the zoning districts, in the industrial districts, would not be impacted by this change. It really would impact new businesses moving into the area or, you know, development of land going forward. And as I say, the goal is to be more inclusive rather than exclusive with this combination. Next slide, please. So with that, the Community Development Department recommends that the Planning Commission hold a public hearing and adopt a resolution recommending that the City Council adopt an ordinance amending Title 17 of the Cotati Municipal Code to combine the commercial industrial and general industrial zoning districts into a single district. And I'm available to answer your questions, if you have any.
Does anyone have any questions?
I just, reading it just makes sense, you know, I mean, there is some overlap between the two. and to clean it up and make it user-friendly, I guess you would say, is definitely a good idea.
All right, without further questions, let's open it up to public comment. Would anyone in the audience chamber like to comment on this agenda item? No? Carla, is there anyone on Zoom who would like to offer public comment?
Thank you, Chair Moffett. Speaking to our Zoom attendees, if you'd like to make a public comment, please use the raise hand icon or dial *9. Chair Moffett, that will end a public comment.
Any further discussion? It makes a whole lot of sense to me. We're not quite big enough for 2 industrial zonings. All right, well, do I have a motion?
I motion to approve. Is that all I say?
Yeah.
Okay.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 It's unanimous. All right, moving on down, we have reports by staff.
Okay, so our Community Development Director, Noah Hausch, is out today, so I'll be delivering his brief report. We have 3 items for you. The first is that Redwood Row was approved by the City Council on May 13th, and the approval included their alternative method of complying with the city's inclusionary housing requirement. Secondly, we want to let you know that our department work plan for the next year will be finalized with the budget adoption in June that goes to the City Council. Our staff will be providing you with a summary of the work plan and our approach to prioritizing the projects shortly after the budget adoption. And finally, we want to remind you that we have canceled the July 21st meeting of the commission for the summer break. Any questions on any of those?
Were you at the council meeting for Redwood Row?
I was not,
No.
no. So I cannot provide actually any further detail. I'm sorry.
Just out of curiosity, why do you ask?
I was curious about the pool issue.
The pool, okay.
Yeah, I can ask Noah.
Yeah, I can let him know that you would like an update on how that worked out, unless Kevin happens to know because he was at the meeting. It was probably all a blur. Okay. Okay, all right.
Any reports from members of the commission? No? All right, any information received after the agenda was posted? No?
No, no information was received.
All right, well, it is 6:29. Let's call this meeting adjourned. Thanks, folks.